Hey everyone, welcome to another tutorial on how to connect a live stream capture card box to your camera and OBS. Now, if you weren't able to tune into my previous tutorial where I went step by step on how to start up a live stream through OBS and YouTube, I will attach that link of that tutorial in the description below after this video. In case you missed my other tutorial yesterday, I did a step-by-step process on how to live stream from OBS to YouTube. That tutorial is up on my YouTube channel, and I will also put a link down below for you guys to go visit, as well as a step-by-step document of the process of how to live stream to YouTube using OBS software. With that being said, this tutorial is on how to connect a live stream capture card box to your OBS software using any Panasonic camera. So in my previous tutorial, I mentioned that I did a lot of live streaming for the Uxbridge Bruins hockey team, but I wanted to give you guys a step-by-step process on how to live stream using a capture card box and how to actually connect it to your software. So these are the two batteries that I use in order to live stream to YouTube for the hockey team. So this battery right here is the practice battery. So that's what I use for doing any kind of setup or any kind of tests when I'm practicing or setting up any kind of software. This is the game battery that we use. So this battery, as you can see, if I light it up, there are 4 bars. So 4 bars on one battery. So this could last me about a good 2 to 3 hours. About 2 bars would last me about 2 periods. And then depending if there's overtime or not, the other 2 bars help to have it all ready to go. Say we go into overtime in the playoffs, I'll want to charge this other battery. So just in case I need to change batteries, because if we are on a live stream and you're in overtime in a playoff game, you might want to have both your batteries charged. So that's what I use. This box right here, this is our Ethernet cable. So I have an adapter for my MacBook Pro computer, and it easily connects into the laptop, which gives us better speed and not a lot of glitching when live streaming. So that's what I use to connect that. But this is basically my Panasonic AG UX180 camera. I do a lot of live streaming with this, recording. If you guys take a closer look, you'll notice that this is the audio input to change channels. So we usually set input 1 as the microphone. Input 2, we'll set an additional microphone on say the glass to capture the ambient sound. And then say that microphone dies with the batteries inside of it, which has happened before. I'll just set it to international sound. So it still picks up the sound, which would be coming from my camera mic. So that is the setup for my audio. In this slot here, this is where all of my SD cards go. So I recently purchased an SD card that has about 6 hours of space on it, which is incredible. So that is definitely coming in handy. We definitely delete the footage after the game, so we do have some extra storage space, which is always needed. And last but not least, for at least this tutorial, I'll show you what goes on behind here. So this empty slot here, this is where, like I mentioned, this is where the batteries will go. So I usually need to change them every once in a while. And then right inside of there, that's the HDMI slot for the HDMI cord that will connect the camera to the actual computer. What I recently ran into with an issue before is we were having some green tissue tint on the lens, and we couldn't really figure out exactly what the problem was for that. We found out that when you're changing the battery, you have to turn the camera off first, and then you have to change the battery. If you just change the battery without turning the camera off, that's what creates the green tint. So unfortunately, we found that out halfway into the season, but at least we got it fixed, so we're ready to go for the playoffs. So now I'm going to show you guys the actual inputs of how a capture card box works. The input, that is where the HDMI cord will go. The output is this small HDMI block cord. That's what's going to go into the output. If I turn the box around, you have the USB input adapter. connector. So that's where that blue cord is going to go. So that will, that's an additional cord setup that you will need to connect into the capture card box in order to live stream. Now, this capture box actually belongs to the Uxbridge Bruins. They actually purchased this, so I won't be having this after the season, because I'll bring it will be their equipment that they purchased. They have additional microphones that they purchased as well, so that is what they will be using for future streams. Let's get back to our software here. As I mentioned in my previous tutorial, this is the OBS software. Obviously, there's nothing connected right now because we would be streaming black. I showed you in the previous tutorial of how to live stream through OBS to YouTube. And obviously, when we did the test yesterday, there was nothing going out live. There was no content because we didn't connect anything. So I'm going to show you in this tutorial of actually how to connect the camera to OBS in order to live stream any content that you wish. So let's get started. So like I mentioned, this is the capture card USB slot. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm holding my camera here, I'm going to connect it, and then I will get back to you right here. All right, so now we have the USB cord connected into our capture box. So now what we have to do is we need to connect the small HDMI cord into the capture box. So when we turn it around, it's going to go into the output. So let's do that right now. All right, perfect. So we got our mini HDMI cord into our output slot. Now it's time to connect the larger HDMI cord into the input slot. So let's do that right now. All right, awesome. So we have our mini HDMI cord in the output slot. We got our larger HDMI cord in the input slot, and that's the one that's going to go into the camera. And then if we turn this around, we got our USB connector into the capture card box. So we've got the capture box all set, all ready to go, and we got it all connected. Okay, so this is my MacBook Pro adapter, which will then, as you can see, that has the USB adapter and the HDMI, and that mini one on the other side, that's for the USB Ethernet cable box that we have here. So let's go ahead and connect all that. And then this end will go into my laptop. Okay, so we now have our two HDMI cords connected into our capture box. We now have our USB cord connected into our capture box. It's a little bit of a mess, but it just shows you how much goes into capturing one stream. Now, the Ethernet cable, I realized that it's actually at the arena because you have to plug it into the back of the internet box. So that Ethernet cable is not here right now, but essentially that's what would go into the back of this. And as you can see, we are now streaming what the camera is picking up. So I just shot the couch, the lamp, a couple of puzzles, the guitar in this frame, but it just shows you, it just gives you an example of what is being captured. So as per yesterday's tutorial, we would open up YouTube, we'd log in, we'd then go to go live, then we would go into the settings, we'd copy that URL key of YouTube, then we would go into OBS of settings, we'd go to stream, then we go to use stream key, and then we would copy it into OBS here. Then after you have the URL key into OBS, you press start streaming, you go back to YouTube, and then it's fully connected, and then you can stream whatever you want. But just to give you a rundown of what the camera looks like here, see, we have our larger HDMI cord into the back of our camera. We got the battery into the back of the camera. And then just to give you an idea, this is the viewfinder for the camera. So it will show you the SDR. So obviously we have no SDI cards in right now. At the top right corner, or of at least on my top right corner, it shows you the percentage of how much the battery lasts. So you have to keep an eye on that as well. Right where the red button here is, that's where you turn on and off the camera. And just to give you a little bit of a rundown here, what we've been doing for audio is right up here is our audio input 1. So that's where, say, our commentary mic would go. Input 2, so that's where our audio, so our international sound, say, would be, or if we're doing international sound, we would just use the camera mic. But say we connected another microphone into over near the arena, near the Zamboni doors to capture that audio. That's where this mic would go into the XLR. I do have XLR cables with me, but I won't set that up right now. But this just gives you a rundown of how to set up a live stream capture card box into OBS from the camera to live stream out to the public. So that's your tutorial on how to connect a capture card box to OBS for live streaming. Thanks everyone for tuning into this tutorial. Make sure you hit a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tutorials like this, and we'll see you next time.